Plaintiff Jeremy Wojciechowski says after he rented a room in the defendant's home, he discovered the defendant was an alcoholic who used crystal meth and sold drugs. Jeremy says the defendant not only made sexual advances toward Jeremy, but he also pulled a gun on him. Jeremy suing for a security deposit and civil code violations. Defendant John Parrish says when Jeremy moved in, he claimed he was a hiker, a biker, and a swinger. However, John claims he turned out to be nothing more than a lonely man who spent hours on the internet looking for women and then had extremely loud sex with them.
All right, let me hear from you.
Your Honor, I was duped into living with an alcoholic turned meth addict and a drug dealer who made sexual advances towards me and also even pulled a gun on me. One night he was so drunk that he passed out, hit a bookshelf on the way down, woke up in a pool of blood this big.
Wow.
The doctor said he was lucky to be alive. And then not 2 months later, he's driving home drunk from a bar, nearly plows head on into a couple, hits a curb instead, breaks off his wheel, drives home on 3 wheels, leaving a gouge in the cement for a mile.
You were a tenant or a roommate?
I was a tenant and a roommate. He owns the property and he's a roommate, yes.
Okay. All right.
And which made it easy for the police to...
Did you say he would come into your room at night?
No, I never said that.
I thought you said he hit on you sexually.
He's hit on me sexually. He made comments about me.
If y'all living in the same house, that's the easiest way to hit on you. Come in your room. Say, hey, buddy.
Or just the living room, Your Honor.
I'm hitting on you. When did he hit on you then?
Just in the living room as I was getting ready and going out.
You didn't make it to the bedroom.
Yeah, he just got me in the living room.
I want it now. Where do you got to go to the bedroom?
Yeah.
And you say he would come into your room at night?
No. I never said that.
I thought you said he hit on you sexually.
He's hit on me sexually. He made comments about me.
If y'all living in the same house, that's the easiest way to hit on you. Come in your room. Say, hey, buddy.
Or just the living room, Your Honor.
I'm hitting on you.
Plaintiff Jeremy Wojciechowski says after he rented a room in the defendant's home, he discovered the defendant used crystal meth and sold drugs.
What else you want me to know?
They arrested him for the DUI. And when I realized that he wasn't going to do anything about it, get help like he said he would, like he promised, I gave him my 30 days notice to get out of there.
Okay. Sir?
Your Honor, first let me say, when I met Jeremy, he said he was a surfer, he was a hiker, he was a biker, and he told me that he was a swinger and he went to sex parties. You know, I thought so that...
You said, let me get my share, huh?
You know, okay, I thought it was cool because I was like, you know, I sail, I surf, I bike, I hike, you know, and I was like, okay, I don't swing, but that was part of it was like really exciting. I was like, wow, you know, because I lived pretty much a vanilla lifestyle. He moved in and turns out he was none of that. It's what we call a poser in California. You know, what he was he was a lonely little man that would spend most of his evenings.
Because I didn't do that with you.
Lonely little man that
spent all the time.
Spent all his nights.
Doesn't mean I didn't do any of those things.
On the internet, surfing for chicks every single night. Every single night. And when he'd get one over, it was like he had something to prove by like having this really loud, obnoxious sex. In fact, the neighbors complained about it. They thought he was beating the girls. It was that disturbing. I told him repeatedly, dude, that's the kind of the sex you have when no one's home. I can hear you over the surround system in the living room.
This was
he would not
isolated
stop.
Incident once or twice. This was not
He would not stop.
So,
you know, turned out.
So what are you saying, sir? Because he said you hit on him. You said it sounded so good you had to get at him at some point.
Sir,
did you hit on him?
This guy, no, sir, no. He's never been attractive to me at all. I asked him, why do you want to move in with me? He's like, well, I don't have any guy friends. He doesn't have like any relationships with any guys. Where he moved from was another, he lived with 2 other gay guys. I was like, all right, you know, all his friends were girls and turned out they were all girls from the internet. In fact, when he would go out, he would wear black leather pants, a tight shirt, and makeup.
Objection.
And I'm the one that's gay.
Incident.
So you're the one that's
every time.
And he dressed up in drag.
Every time. Yeah, I was just like,
sir,
you know, he was no
tight clothes and makeup when you went out?
Makeup? No, I did not dress cross-dress.
Okay,
that is categorically untrue.
All right, okay. Well, tight clothes are fashionable. don't know about men's makeup, but let me stop. I wear a little makeup on television.
Right now, yeah.
All right. You wear some too?
I'm wearing a little.
All right. Okay, you have some on yourself.
See, sir.
All right. Well, we all go drag today. All right. So he's just suggesting because you're gay, he's trying to use that.
He's trying to use that.
Yeah, right.
You know, and then he goes on, sir, about this. As we lived together, I found that, you know, he didn't do any of these things he talked about. He never used the bikes that he had down in the garage. He never went surfing because apparently it was too cold. You know, he never used any of that hiking crap that he had stored in my garage. But, you know, I went hiking. I went to Machu Picchu.
Why did he tell you he was moving?
Because, well, we didn't get along towards the end.
Okay.
I mean, he drank a lot, especially with the newest chick that he had over.
No.
They were always drunk. But the main thing was that when I did get the DUI, I granted that. It was after a softball. Yeah, I played softball too. You know, I was much more of a man than this guy ever was. But after a softball tournament, sir, we went to do a fundraiser, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, somebody thought it would be funny, but I was sipping on a drink and I started to feel really funny, got dizzy, and I don't even remember leaving the bar. It happened that quickly. About 10 minutes later, on my way home, I woke up suddenly. I don't know if it was God saying, wake up, because I really feel that I've been shined on by God. And I was going head on into a car. I swear, missed it, just spun out and hit the curb. And I'm like, what just happened to me? You know, drove home. I knew I was on three wheels. Well, actually, the wheel popped off. But I was like, what am I supposed to do, right?
Pull over.
Well, right. But I only lived about a half mile. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was in shock. So I drove, parked the car in front, parallel parked it, fine, went upstairs. And he ended up, the cops came to the door and he let him in. And I went down and I did the breathalyzer and I did. I blew a .1.
All right, let's get back to you, sir. How does he owe you for a security deposit and the violation of civil codes?
Violation of civil code 789.3 is he changed the combination
You have that?
to the electronic lock. Here's a copy of the California Civil Code. Here's a copy.
That's not true, sir.
Here's
I didn't
a copy
change the combination to the lock.
Of what he said via email. I was trying to remove the combo, my combo, to get access to my property, and I ended up messing with the lock so it doesn't work. Where he admits in one email to changing
Doesn't work doesn't mean, hold on. Doesn't work doesn't mean he locked you out intentionally.
No.
I didn't have access.
Yeah,
if he
sir.
breaks it, he's required to instantly
But that
fix it,
doesn't-
and then in the next email.
Sir, read where it says instant. Counselor. Read where it says instant. You say he's required to instantly repair it, counselor. Quote me the law. Quote that. Quote instant. Take all the time you need.
Sir?
Let's read the word instant.
The word instant.
Thank you very much. I didn't think it was. Read where it says instant. Counselor. Read where it says instant. You say he's required to instantly repair it, counselor. Quote me the law. Quote that. Quote instant.
Plaintiff Jeremy Wojciechowski says after he rented a room in the defendant's home, he discovered the defendant used crystal meth and sold drugs.
Security deposit. Let's go there, sir. Because you done messed yourself up thinking you're a lawyer. Go ahead. Security deposit?
He never gave it to me. I tried to get it back from him in a letter.
Sir, we arranged a time for him to come over. I had people over that night because I was afraid to be alone with him because he was doing something.
I didn't pull a gun on my roommate,
sir.
John.
Sir, be quiet. Sir, did you give him a security deposit? If
He
not,
came over.
why?
I only charged him the $400 security deposit because I felt sorry for him when he moved in. I'm like taking $40 off for him damaging a piece of cookingware, right?
You told him that?
I told him that.
Did you write it out? Itemize it?
No, I did not do that. But I told him to come back on the 15th.
Aren't you required to do
It was required
that?
by law to give him within a certain time, and I'll give him. He never came back. But what he did do was cause a scene that night in front of everybody.
Not interested, sir.
Yeah.
I want to know about the security deposit.
He never came back
We've
for
had
it,
enough
sir.
gossip. Now,
No, he never came back for it. He never came back for his mail either.
Okay.
He never gave me a forwarding address until he sent me these stupid letters threatening me. Now he's going to sue me for locking him out.
Sir,
and the gun.
Did you try and give him the security deposit?
Yeah, he never came back for it, sir.
He never mailed it. And in California law, it's merely required to mail it.
No, he didn't give me a forwarding address.
You got the law all twisted up. You're talking about he was required to mail it to you. He didn't know where you live, sir. We just established that. You come quoting this bootleg law about how he owes you, and you were totally wrong. Have a good day. Case dismissed.
Jeremy, you want me to mail, dude? I had good intentions all the way through. You know, I did him a favor by letting him move in. I had no bad intentions when he left. He just made it evil, and he started to be a money grabber. He thought that he could get me. No,
you threatened me.
You broke through the lock and didn't let me know you were in the house. You knew that I had a gun. You wanted to go shooting with me.
Yeah, it would have been fun.
So you broke
through the lock.
it
on me. You were a meth addict.
You were
irrational.
I don't think so, Jeremy.
You were a drug dealer. You sold drugs to the neighbors.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't, Jeremy.